and it's building it again. Okay, we're live on Facebook, I believe. So, here's God. All right, I'll just do yours. Oh. It was supposed to do it. Sorry, guys. We're getting there. Hang on. Hang on. All right. All right, that didn't do it. I am so sorry. Let me try one more time.
Technology.
Share screen. There we go. Windows player. Share computer and sound. Share. Play again. Come on, do it again. There we go. Okay. Hauntings, cryptids, the unknown. Welcome to Mystic Moon Cafe Radio. Oh, that's not gonna. All righty, guys, here we are. Give me just a moment and I'm going to play you another video with any luck. And, but you are with Mystic Moon Cafe Radio. Share my screen. All right, hang on. Okay.
What was that?
The Haunting of Flavel House is set in Astoria, Oregon. The home itself is a real home that belonged to Harry Flavel. This iconic home was first constructed for Captain George Conrad Flavel. At one point, the Flavel family was one of the most prominent families in Astoria due to their charity work and contributions to the community. Things took a turn for the worst after Captain's son, Harry Flavel, and his family inherited the house from his father. In 1947, when Harry was 20 years old, neighbors reported hearing screams coming from the Flavel house. Fearing the possibility of danger, the neighbor burst into the house where he found Harry's mother Florence screaming from inside a locked room. Harry, armed with a hatchet, attacked the neighbor and cut his arm. This event earned him the nickname Hatchet Harry. Thanks to the Clatsop County Historical Society, I was granted usage to use the last name Flavel in this video game. I definitely changed the first names of all of the characters. The story itself is fiction, but the house, well, it's very real and can speak for itself.
This is Amy Conley.
And David Castillo.
And we're investigating the residence of Captain Flavel in Astoria, Oregon. The date today is just... What was that? Hello? Is anyone here with us?
Hello everyone, my name is Tristan David Luciotti, and I want to go ahead and thank you for having interest in supporting the video game The Haunting of Flavel House. My past history has been in filmmaking. I'm an award-winning screenwriter and also been a director, an actor, producer, etc. As much as I'm passionate about filmmaking, I realized the importance of video games and just how psychologically and emotionally you can really get immersed. This occurred to me after playing the game Life is Strange by Don't Nod Entertainment. When I played that game, I felt feelings, emotions deeper than in film. I got really attached to the characters because I wasn't just watching them. I was able to play them and make decisions for them. And I had never experienced that before. So for me, I decided from there on out, I want to get into making video games. I want a film-like experience, and I want to make games similar on that style to where when people play them, they feel something. It's not just, it's not just playing a video game, it's a whole experience, and something that could even be life-changing. For me, I have to start somewhere. So the first thing I did was I launched a mobile game called Skylar Rides Sedona, and this is something just extremely basic. It wasn't even the same developer and designer that I have for the Haunting of Flavel House. Just something I wanted to test the market with, to go ahead and have more of an understanding of the industry, since the industry itself was new to me. So I learned a lot from launching that mobile game. It really gave me a lot of insight. So with the Haunting of Flavel House, this is something that I first thought about last June. I wrote the script for it. The first thing I had to do was hire a really talented team. And so I went ahead and I saw portfolios and had people sending me different things, and I finally found the perfect team. And I was very excited. So we went ahead and started out last June. I was so impressed when I first saw what was being done with level 1. It was beyond my expectations and exactly the story I was wanting to tell. And the other thing I wanted to work with was voiceover actors. So for me, I have a past doing voiceovers, and I also am a director. And so I found very talented voice actors to go ahead and play the characters in this game. I actually play the voice of David Castillo. He's the lead in the game, and I realized that character had the most lines, and so it was very easy for me to use my home recording studio. I then had Suzanne Owens-Duvall. She was the next person I recorded voices for. She came to the home and did the voices, and she's a super talented actress.
I'm Suzanne Owens-Duvall, and I'm playing Grandma Rose.
We also landed Amy Smith. Amy Smith plays Zoe, our 911 operator, and while her part is more of a cameo, Amy is a celebrity of sorts when it comes to voiceover. She has voiced so many different characters in video games and videos and animation, you name it. I mean, really, she's been a part of it. So I was just so honored to work with her, and she is amazing.
Hi, my name is Amy Smith, and I'm a full-time voice actor primarily working in video games, and I'm the voice of Zoe, the 911 operator in the upcoming game, The Haunting of Flavel House.
I then found some other voice actors, some of which I have worked with in the past, and yeah, they're all fabulous. Trust me.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Kristen Gray, and I will be voicing the character of Elizabeth Flavel for the new exciting upcoming game, The Haunting of Flavel House. Growing up a native Oregonian, we took many trips visiting the Astoria area and the more famous George Flavel house in town. We never really heard much about the other Flavel house in town, the more mysterious Flavel house.
Hi, I'm Norman Gray, and I need a haircut pretty badly. But other than that, I am playing the radio announcer.
Hi there, my name is Leslie Inman, and for The Haunting of Flavel House, I will be voicing the role of Carol Ann. The Flavel House in Astoria has always, for me, held a mystery, and its history is really rich. The architecture is gorgeous. Terrified to go in it, as I'm sure most are, because you can feel the energy of the building, of the area, before you even step foot.
Hi, I'm Seth Michael. I play the voice of Uncle Jack.
Hi, I'm Amy Castellano, and I'm the voice of Amy Conley.
The Haunting of Flavel House is not my end goal when it comes to video games. This is my first game that is going to go past mobile and actually get on Steam, and you can play it on PC and Mac. So I'm pretty excited about that. I feel like this is a way for me to get recognition inside the video game industry, so then the next project after this one can be bigger. I'm really planning for this to get some notoriety. I would really love the ability to go to different gaming conferences and allow people just to test the game out, play it, and just get a nice following for it. One of the films that I made was called All Around Us, which is a documentary in which I followed a psychic medium, Seth Michael, for about over 3 years in making that film. I learned a lot. I got to go on a lot of paranormal investigations, so I learned about the equipment, I learned about different spirits, And so I thought it would be pretty interesting to be able to add that concept to this game. I have it to where David and his partner Amy, they are paranormal investigators in Astoria, Oregon. And they go into this house that is truly, I probably is haunted in real life. I think I've heard stories, but there's a lot of mystery that surrounds the Flavel house. So the story surrounds David Castillo. He first awakens inside the Flavel house, and he does not know where he is. He can't remember who he is, and so there is a state of amnesia present. As he walks through the basement of level 1, he has to find a lot of different clues in order to even move to the next level. So it is a puzzle of sorts. I really like strategy games, and so for this one I wanted to add that aspect. But level 1 to me is primarily a way for you to learn the controls, understand the game. My only tip to you would be just know the battery life on a flashlight doesn't last forever. David is able to remember who he is and where he is and why he's there in level 1. There is a tragedy that he discovers. The story itself that I wrote is fiction, so this is a made-up story. While I'm using the last name of the Flavel family, I have changed the first names. I did use some similar names to the Flavel family, but really the last name is what I kept intact, just to be able to uphold the name that surrounds that house. So while the game is set in present day, the spirits that live there are trapped within the year 1923. So just a little fun fact, my grandmother Stella was born in 1923, so that's my little gesture to her. I like to always tie in little personal things when I write. You get to meet a lot of different family members that are spirits as you go from level to level of this home, and things get more difficult. You really are having to use some strategy, and you also get to use paranormal equipment. I think one of my favorite things that we are introducing is actually an EVP recorder. Pretty amazing actually, because I in real life have heard these voices on playback. So yeah, it's a real thing, just so you know, if you weren't already spooked enough. I think every single level is pretty fascinating as you go through the house. Level 2, it is staged in a library. Level 3 is actually in Henry Flavel's bedroom. And then the level 4 is going to be in the kitchen and pantry area. And then level 5 is the living area, but it's a very large living area. And a lot happens in level 5. That's going to be really fun when you get to that point. So basically, it's your job to make sure that David escapes. You are playing as David, so this is a first person. And while some people are used to being a first person shooter game, you're not a first person shooter. But this game kind of reminds me, if you've ever played Resident Evil Biohazard, for instance, that character in the game, you're able to barely see the hands coming out and everything, touch things, grab things, whatever. And that's how this game is as well. You only see David as he looks into a mirror and sees his reflection in level 1. You get to see him there, and then to the very end of the game, after you beat the game, and you kind of have like the end credits going there, you get to see David a second time, and that's all. So it's going to really feel like you are the one playing this game. And I also want to make sure that the environment was as realistic as possible. So the game is being built in Unity, and it looks really incredible. So for me, I'm just really excited about the supporters. The money is going to completely go to 100% the development and design of the rest of these levels. We have completed level 1, but we still have 4 more levels to get through. And so we want to get there. Obviously with the quarantine, I wanted to pause. Originally this Kickstarter was supposed to launch in March. And of course with the virus hitting, I didn't feel it was right to put something out there and ask for donations. So I have waited several months. And now I feel like it's a point where I realize the importance of this game. I realize the importance of entertainment, as many of us, have been quarantined in our homes. Video games has been something where people have been able to escape. And so this game is going to give you an ability to do that. So the $3,000 will go to the production of this team, just to finish it all off. Anything above $3,000 is going to do wonders, and that is just the truth. With that money, I would be able to have the ability to actually market the game. I would love to have that ability to go ahead and pay influencers on Twitch and YouTube and have it where they can play the game and give their honest feedback, but just get that out there. Also to try to get some editorials written in some gaming magazines, and also just being able to do promo ads on different platforms on mobile and also for PC, just to get the game out there. One thing that would also be great is I have not yet cast the voice of Captain Flavel, and I would like to find somebody that is more known to be able to do that. So, we got Amy Smith in there for her cameo, and I would love to grab another voice actor that has done some great things in the gaming industry and bring them on to do the lines of Captain Flavel. So that would be really great. One of the biggest things I would really love to do is I want to be able to present this game at gaming conferences. I would love to be able to get a booth at the indie portion of PAX West for 2021. I don't know, of course, if it's going to be open. Fingers crossed that we will get through this and we can once again be in public places all together. And also just local Comic-Cons, going to local gaming conventions and having a booth there, that would be absolutely wonderful. The one place I'll definitely have a booth for this once the game launches is at the Oregon Ghost Conference in Seaside, Oregon, and also the Port Gamble Ghost Conference up in Port Gamble, Washington. They've been extremely supportive and I can't thank them enough. I also want to go ahead and give a shout out to the whole paranormal community. I know many of you out there, and I made a game that I really truly believe in my heart will represent you properly. I already had some paranormal investigators test out level 1 and they loved it a whole lot. So I've appreciated your feedback tremendously. As for the rewards, I wanted to make sure I had rewards that were just really, really great. It's important for me that when you take your time and energy and your money and want to support my project, I want to give you something great in return. So I think I have pretty awesome rewards, I have to say. You have everything from paranormal packages, and if you're more of a gamer, I've got the gaming packages. I thought it would be really cool to be able to add some paranormal equipment that you can even start using yourself. Once our goal is reached, no matter what, this game will be finalized. Your support means everything. I can't tell you enough. I'm very grateful, and to me, it's my job to take what you've given and to make something incredible. And I want you to be a part of it. To me, you're not just a name, you're not just a face, it's not just a dollar bill. To me, when you support anything I do, when you support me, you become part of the family. So you'll be part of the Haunting of Flavel House family, part of the team. Welcome aboard.
Time to enter the elevator. Hello, David? Oh, like that's not creepy or anything. This wins the award for Worst Day Ever.
All righty then. And here we are.
And here we are.
I hope that's played okay for everybody. Let me see. Why isn't that showing as that we're live? I know we're live because we were live, right?
Right.
Yeah, it says we're live on Facebook. We gotta be.
Let me check. Yeah, we're live. I see it's on there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't come back to me quite so often anymore. Anyway, hi, I'm Wendy, here with Tristan David Luciotti and William Becker this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about Haunted Astoria, the game, the Flavel. Flavel. Okay, yeah. That's how I was saying it, but then you said it a little different on the video, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think Amy Smith said Flavel because she's from Australia, so there's a bit of an accent.
Okay.
But yeah, it's Flavel. That's the proper way to say
it. They do tend to, them and the British. I heard someone saying mafia, talking about the mafia recently on television. I was like, oh, that's just wrong.
And then we had actually another Amy. There's two Amy's for voiceovers, and when you hear the first recording, she says Flavel as well because she's a Southern accent. So I kind of use the accent thing because when I realized like some people with different accents would pronounce it differently, I thought that'd be interesting. But for the rest of the game when you play, you'll know the correct way to say it. So
right. Well, all righty. How would you guys like to start?
I think you just saw enough of me. I would love if William wanted to dig in.
Are you getting shy, camera shy?
I wouldn't believe that for a minute.
No, I wouldn't either, actually. But
yeah. Well, I love the topic and the house you've chosen. Oh, I didn't know about that house. My family goes, my mom's side, her mother's side, we go back 1880s, I think, in Astoria. So long way. And mom, I think I was in high school when we drove by that particular Flavel house, and it was all boarded up. And I used to go by it fairly often, anytime I was in town, just to check it out. And I actually have written about it in the first book I put out with Devin Conroy Groves. And we grew up going to see grandma and stay with her for a week or two every summer. And the first time I went into the Flavel house, that's the museum, you couldn't go above the first floor. It was all condemned. And so, it gives you an idea how long ago that was. But it's fantastic. And the house in the video that you're using, it was sold. A gentleman who owned one of the lumber yards, he and his brother bought it. And I guess he passed away, and his brother is restoring it now. But the guy that bought it, they had a fundraiser for the Clatsop County Historical Society where you could pay to go through that house. And I did.
Ooh.
And he'd already done a lot of work on it because it wasn't safe. Structurally, it was sound, but you didn't know if you were going to find a hole in the floor or a magazine pile or what. So it had been cleaned up a lot by the time I'd gotten into it, but it was amazing. I was disappointed though. I don't think I found a library. And
yeah.
And for me, that was really difficult to imagine not having a library. They did have a small music room, and it's beautiful. It really is. It's not quite as big as it looks in some ways. In some ways, it's bigger, but you can tell that the place is haunted. I mean, I've seen things crawling up the side of it, and just from a psychic perspective, used to watch and see trees growing out the chimneys, and it was in really bad shape for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of things did you see crawling up it? I'm curious.
I don't know.
Okay.
It was, Devin and I both saw it, and it was kind of spidery. Not really. It wasn't anything I'd seen before.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't demonic or anything. I don't believe in that, but it was interesting. It was very strange.
It sounds like it.
Well, and it makes sense because there was so much trauma in that house.
Mm-hmm.
Hatchet Harry was a real force to be reckoned with. The family had a lot of mental health issues, if you read about them. And it goes way, way back. But the original captain, he was the first millionaire in Astoria.
Oh, neat.
And his wife and daughters spent a lot of time in Europe or San Francisco. Neither of his daughters ever married the original captain. And then this was the son that got married, and then can't remember if Harry and the last of that line, at least as far as a couple of years ago, was still alive. She was in a nursing home in Beaverton, I think.
Oh, wow.
And then there are other ones, I think, in New York and California that are a little bit more stable. But, fabulous place in a very interesting and old and haunted town. The Historical Society is built on the site of the original Fort Astoria graveyard.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was a fort before, or it started as a fort? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah. Fort Clatsop is real close by, and that's where Lewis and Clark wintered in 1806, I think. And then about 1811, I think it was, my dates might be off a year or two here. John Jacob Astor set up a trading fort there. And that trading fort later became Astoria. During the War of 1812, ownership of the area was in doubt. It went back and forth. He sold it to Hudson's Bay Company, and which is where Fort George Brewery comes in, because that's what they named it. But then after the War of 1812, the Americans were still around, and the town developed. It's an older town than Oregon City, but it's not older in corporation. It's an older settlement. And it got rich on lumber and fishing, mostly those two. And it was, a major seaport and the entrance down to Portland. They used to say you could walk on the back of the salmon across the river almost.
Wow.
There would be canneries all along. I remember going into them once or twice to see friends of my grandma's.
Oh my, okay. So your you've been in the Astoria area for a long time then?
Oh yeah, my great grandmother immigrated with her family as a young girl from Finland, probably 1880s. And my great grandfather, 1890s, as a young man from Finland. And they got married in 1900. So my grandma grew up there. My mom grew up there. My great grandmother basically grew up there because she was so young when they moved. And I know we still have relatives all over there. I just don't know any of them.
So. Easy to lose track after a while.
Yeah, and it was, my great grandmother had tons of brothers and sisters, but grandma was an only child and mom was too, so you lose track. But, it's a gorgeous place. I highly suggest people go.
I love Astoria.
Yeah, it's home away from home. And it's interesting. Now, I haven't been and talked to anybody for a little while, but not long ago, the streets had really come alive again. Tourism has brought the money back.
Oh, good.
And there was one block or so that all the businesses were empty. And that was the Flavel block. Because nobody in town wanted to rent from the Flavels. That's what one of the merchants in another place told me. That you could be blackballed even just doing business with the Flavels. They were so hated, mostly because of Harry and that group, his mom and his sister. So, because they started out doing a lot of good.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's definitely a mysterious family. I know that because I remember reading about Harry, and it was, I want to say, because there was two incidents with him. There was that one where I talked about the axe, and then there was the other one where it was like a guy, I think, driving in a car or something. He like stabbed the car or something. And
along those lines.
And then he and I want to say his sister, maybe mother, but I heard that they actually like left Astoria then because I think they were trying to probably get him and put him behind bars.
They were on the lam for a long time. They traveled all over, and they'd sneak back in and be in the house for a while, and then sneak back out again for a while.
How interesting.
Yeah. And I understand the house was originally full of incredible things, but they wouldn't pay their taxes, property taxes and such. So when it came time for a closure, some of the antique furniture would go and pay the bills. But they still had money. That branch still had money. I don't know if there's anything left or not now. But it was crazy. The captain, the first one, he made his fortune as a bar pilot and then started a company of bar pilots, which was very dangerous work. They'd get up on the ships on the other side of the bar to help them get into the river. That
Oh,
area.
okay.
Yeah, the mouth of the Columbia River is called the Graveyard of the Pacific for good reason. It's very treacherous still. And, one of my great uncles was a bar pilot. So
Wow.
not anybody ever knew, but get to hear stories.
Now, when you say bar, is it sandbar or reef
Well,
type areas, or?
When you have a river going into an ocean, I forget, you live in the Midwest.
Yes, I do.
So, I half grew up over there in the coast, and so you have the river coming out, and then the ocean here, and you get sandbars building up all over the mouth of these rivers, and they change constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And they become very, very treacherous, and you have to know the tides as well as the winds. And it's a major port. They get major shipping going through there all the way up into Portland, and which is about 70 miles, I think, upriver. Yeah, upriver. But to stop and think, they use a different pilot to come up the river. But they used to have to, on these incredibly storm-tossed and just violent seas, all the time violent with the bar and coming in there, they'd have to climb up these rope ladders up the sides of the ship from little tugboats to get in there. And
oh my,
I think it's a little easier to get on the ships now than it used to be, but it's a dangerous job.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Oh, go ahead, Tristan.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know, just even right north of there, going into Washington, the Cape Disappointment, all the shipwrecks.
Mm-hmm.
Just almost like the ships getting just sucked into that Cape area.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then there's what was I gonna say? Alzheimer's. Or no, it's just my ADHD. But there was another piece with that. You can find, the haunted aspects of it. Just walking around the streets, you can sense things in a lot of buildings. The museum house, I've talked to docents there that have had experiences. And so it depends on who you talk to working there, whether or not they'll tell you it's haunted or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's pretty fun. And then there's the fire station museum, and that building is haunted as well.
Goodness. Any good stories from there, or?
Oh, people, I think, seeing firemen, people hearing voices. I went in there and just to go around and do some research, and you could tell, I don't think I saw anybody per se, but you could certainly feel it, and I could psychically pick up on lots of people. The Flavel House, one of the people working there, one of the docents, told me that she'd heard her name called. She had seen the captain, and there are footfalls when there's nobody there occasionally. So things like that.
Neat.
Yeah, it is. It's an impressive place. Well, it goes back so far, and the city burned down. Oh, Shanghai. It was one of the more notorious Shanghai ports. And the saying used to be, until about 1922, I think it was, a proper lady wouldn't be seen going through the front door of the post office on Main Street, because you had the bars and the prostitutes, the brothels. It was a port town.
Mm-hmm.
I think of my very prim and proper Victorian type great grandmother in that situation, and it's kind of funny. It changed after all of the downtown area, the business district, burned. It was all built on pilings, And
Okay.
so with the wood and the creosote and such, once the fire got going, it just went everywhere. And they still had the Shanghaiing and such going on after rebuilding, but I think it cleaned up the brothels and the rest of it. So you could walk down the street without people thinking you were a lady of the evening, or your line of work was negotiable affection, as one of my friends calls it.
I'm trying to remember which port it was where it was actually one of the madams of one of the notorious establishments that actually built the town, put so much money into it, and maybe took care of a lot of orphans and things as well. I
think that might have been Seaside, actually.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, there was a madam there, and she had a building, and there was orphans, and there actually was a fire in that building too. It was next to the bridge tent. I remember hearing this whole story about it. That maybe there was another madam in Astoria too that did that. I don't know.
Oh, there would have been lots of them at different times.
That makes sense.
I don't know. Madams in the Wild West days and early days actually did do a lot of work and support. They built schools, they did all kinds of things to help support the community, and sometimes they were appreciated for it, sometimes they weren't.
Right.
And it was a very different type of job than we think of it in some ways now. I don't think there was the amount of trafficking, and there was trafficking in forced recruitment, but there are also houses that were more above ground and I think a little bit more mutually consensual. And I know what you're saying, Wendy, and I've heard. I can't remember the town, and I don't remember if it's a port or if it's in like Arizona or Nevada or just what.
June would know, but June always knows all about the brothels. We tease her a little bit about that. They were actually
a little bit of a past life reading on her and see how much of that comes from maybe past life activity.
Right. They were actually in right outside Butte, Montana, this weekend doing a social distance investigation of an old brothel there.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. It looked interesting. They are on my list, though, because they didn't take me along.
Oh, how dare they? They had they should have swung down and got you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. You should always have your historian along.
That's right.
Seriously.
You've always got to have a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Very true.
All right. I am putting some links into the chat over there.
Awesome.
And golly, I'm not sure which other questions to be asking. Sonia? Hi, Sonia. Got any questions for William or Tristan? I know there's a tiny bit of a delay between them, but it's not too bad yet. But okay, did you find the last voice actor you were looking for, Tristan?
No. So basically, I'm still waiting on that. I was hoping to be able to have the money for that, but right now, I mean, I guess I can talk a little bit about this. We are on August 4th. That is going to be the end date for the Kickstarter campaign. I actually launched it July 1st, so it's been 26 days strong, and we are just over halfway there. So we still have a ways to go. So that was something where I just wanted to make sure that everyone was knowing about it. For me, I didn't do a whole lot of pre-launch marketing. And so that's something smart to do with, if you do a crowdfunding campaign.
Right.
And so it was one of those things where I finally did make that decision, because originally I was going to be launching this in March. And so, like I said in the video, I just didn't feel it was right. It's like all of a sudden the whole world turned upside down. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be doing this. There's too many people that are unemployed. I even was, for a while there. And so I thought, I'm not going to ask even for a penny, from everyone needs to just hold on, because we don't know where this ride's going to take us. And I know in certain aspects we still don't here, in near the end of July, right? And so the reason why I did end up launching this was because I did realize the importance of entertainment, and a lot of us being at home and that being the primary place where we are these days. Video games has been a very prominent thing for people to play and actually, even feel like okay to invest in for that purpose. So I decided to go ahead and give it a whirl. And I had a very difficult time actually thinking, what do I want my goal to be as far as the number? And with Kickstarter, it's all or nothing. I almost went with Indiegogo. Indiegogo is, if you don't make your goal, you can still keep the money and use that toward your project. But I decided to go with Kickstarter just because it's more known, but also it's really more in favor of the people that are backers. It's more stringent. And so I felt like, for me, I'd like to let people know, obviously, if you're putting an investment with me, I'm going through a platform that's really, you're going to be safe, your money's safe, and this gets done and stuff. And so that was important for me to do. So right now, so I decided, okay, 3,000, that seems easy. Like that's low. Because I wanted to be, in March before all this happened, my goal was going to be 10,000. And so I definitely went down with that because I thought, with the 3,000, I know I can finish the game, and it's not going to like assist with, marketing and maybe doing some extra little goodies and stuff like that. But I thought this is a way to at least assist with getting it done, getting it finished. And so the thing I did though was I really put a lot of thought into the rewards. And so a cool thing, if people aren't familiar with crowdfunding, you get a reward. You don't have to. There's been some people that there's actually been quite a few people I've been surprised that have donated to this project without even selecting a reward. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, all you fabulous, wonderful people, because it's just, of course they can totally take a reward, but when they do that, that means that there's no out-of-pocket cost for me to send them stuff. And so that's actually been really nice. I've been very surprised and happily grateful for that. But I have a lot of packages. So like I said, I do have some paranormal equipment packages. I was going to go to one really quick and just say the one that has like it all, because there's like the Para Pro package.
So neat.
For a Para Pro. So in this one, you get your name listed in the credits of the game, but you also get a K2 EMF detector, and you get an EVP reporter and an infrared thermometer, and then you get one of those really cool green laser grid pens that do all the green little dots on the wall with the tripod.
Yeah.
Those are always really cool. And then I do like personal video shout outs. So I've done a lot of, I call them, so the name of my company is Shaka Brah Games, and that's like, Shaka Brah, hang loose, it's kind of like a Hawaii type thing. The dog you see as the mascot is my dog, the litter. So that is actually my dog. That is the logo. And so, but yeah, if you go on to, it's at Shaka Brah Games on everything. So that's just SHAKABRAH Games. And that's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Like you can just find this everywhere. And there's a lot of Shaka shout outs for people. My whole thing is that I would love for people to ask me, anything, Wendy, even William, because I would love for people just to, believe in this and support it and just let us get to the 3,000 by August 4th, because it's getting here faster than I anticipated. And I still have almost $1,500 to raise. So it would be amazing, to have some more backer support and help us get there on time.
Right. Well, it sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm not a gamer. But this is something that sounds interesting to me. And
thank you.
Kind of fun, just yeah.
Yeah, this is something that I like, and I need to connect you with my friend David Cook in England about some. It might some of his ideas, like possible collaborations, maybe.
Hey, you
Nice.
never know.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with this game,
Pardon me?
started off with writing. So
yeah,
we talked earlier about writing. I think before we went on the air, and since I'm a screenwriter, I wrote this almost in a screenplay-like sense, and so that's why I have the voiceover actors, because yes, they have lines, and so it's a story. It's a narrative-driven story, and it's pretty cool because it's a true secret that the family's hiding that you have to uncover, and you cannot escape until you figure what that is, and then there's something you have to do after that in order to get out. It's pretty interesting game, but there's a lot of cool characters, and some I have twists and turns. So basically, some people might think one thing about a character, then realize something different about that character. You always have to have that, right? When you're watching a movie or TV show, even characters have to switch a little bit up. So I try to keep it interesting. And the puzzle strategy, I actually used there's a game I played a long time ago. It was called Forever Lost by Glitch Games, and it's a mobile game. It's great. It's a lot of fun, but it uses you have to really use your brain for it. It's very strategic, and like even remembering numbers, and this piece of paper goes to this, and I need to do this color here, and so that's a lot of this game too. It's definitely strategy puzzles type for you to understand stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, how much of the story? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please interrupt me.
How much of the story goes along some of the legends or myths or truths of the family? I mean, you can't get you have to be careful not to.
Nothing.
Okay.
Literally nothing. There's no Hatchet Harry. There's no axe murders. There's no stabbings, which I did read. Actually, he did stab somebody. So I guess it was a person, not a car.
Well, he went after the person. That's why. I mean, that was an attempted murder charge that they were.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know what would have happened if he would have stayed, but yeah, and it was all three of them, mother too.
That's crazy. But yeah, the story is completely unique. So none of their stories. This is, it's basically, it's the Flavel family last name, and I still have the Captain Flavel, but not the first name. So I changed that first name, and then instead of Harry Flavel, I have Henry, but he's a little boy, so it's not a grown, anything to do with that. He actually is the little boy you see. And of course, they look completely different. And then we got Grandma Rose, which, I mean, if there was ever a Grandma Rose, I didn't even know that. And this is one of the funny parts to me, is Leslie Inman. She said she plays Carol Ann. And it's so funny because I just came up with that name. And then all of a sudden it hit me later. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, that's the girl from Poltergeist. Like, perfect. Perfect. I didn't do that on purpose.
Right.
Man.
Well, and you chose the perfect house for it too, because that house probably has treasure buried in it.
Probably.
I mean, I hope that when they cleaned it out, they went through everything, because you never know what you'd find in a stack of magazines or what they'd be worth, because nothing got thrown away.
Right, there were orders. I mean, that's what they had said about them.
And so and then the mystery of all these other pieces. Harry had his mother, I think, or mother and sister, one literally freezing day out on the balcony in front, and he was hosing them down with the hose because he was mad at them because they didn't do something he wanted.
Whoa.
I mean, there was some real viciousness that happened in the house, and some of that has to be retained, even if
Definitely.
It's what we think of a ghost per se, the energy and how to work with it.
Sure.
I didn't give it as much time as I would have liked, and you're on time schedules when you go through on this, because they only had so many tickets and so many people they could put through, and everybody wanted to go. It was in the Oregonian. That's how I first found out about it. It's weird because I'm a member of the Historical Society up there. And it was great. It was really great.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, I wish I could have actually had that experience inside of it. For me, I've only been on the outside and taken some pictures respectively. I didn't get too close because, you know, it's still under different ownership now, even though I know that, you know,
yeah, and somebody's living it. They're yeah, and that's something I like to reinforce. I go to these places, but I don't trespass.
Right, exactly.
Even when nobody's living in it,
mm-hmm.
I don't trespass. You've got to respect them.
Yep,
and the ghosts.
Definitely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself into real trouble.
Yes.
For sure.
Exactly. And I don't have any connections left in Astoria that could bail me out with the sheriff if I got arrested for trespassing.
Oh my gosh.
Breaking and entering or something like that.
I have
add
one
a little
friend in
spice
Astoria,
to life.
her and her family, so I guess they maybe could bail me out or something.
Who was
Kay Peden, and
okay.
her husband and son. Yeah, that's like the only people I know that live in Astoria.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that town. I've always been drawn to it. There's just something about it when I drive through there, just the history and just even like the homes, the way they look. I mean, it's like it almost reminds me, I mean, I actually have not been to San Francisco, really want to go, but just that thought of like the homes being up on the hill and just like you look up and it's just like homes all up there, you know, and like you're driving up these steep roads to get up and it's like just Victorian homes. I mean, just beautiful. It's just
Victorians everywhere.
Yeah.
And most of the residential you see wasn't on the docking or whatever you want to call it, the piers that the businesses were on. And so most of the residential was saved. Now, several years ago, there was some lunatic going around and torching some of the Victorians. But some of those big old houses were boarding houses. You could see. I still haven't forgiven the bridge. They took out my grandma's and my grandmother and great grandmother had a duplex. One grandma, old Nana on the bottom and grandma on the top, an old Victorian. And it was good to be gone because it was not very manageable in lots of ways. But I have so many great memories there. And then watching, because you overlook the dock areas, the harbor, and so you just spend all day staring out the window. But they also took out the ferry boats, and we used to ride the ferry boats every time we'd come stay with Grandma. And one of Mom's other great uncles was a ferry boat. Ferry boat captain. He long retired when we were doing it, but when Mom was a kid, she used to get to ring the whistle and things like that.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. And then my great aunt would either meet us and visit for a bit on the other side or take us to the family farm in Grays River down on the Washington side where Mom's father's side was from. So there's a lot of good memories there. And that stupid bridge ended a lot of it.
Goodness. That is quite the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually I didn't cross it until, well, it's probably been a year, but I mean, I've lived out here now for almost 7 years. And so finally I was like, I've got to cross this bridge, it's this big bridge, so, and people were scared that were with me. Like, I don't want to go on that bridge. I'm like,
a lot of people are afraid to go over it.
Yeah,
Talk
it's big.
to Tristan and Tracy.
Oh, yeah?
Especially Tracy.
Yeah, I finally got Amy to go across. She's like, okay. But yeah, my mom, she doesn't like bridges or heights or anything. She took one look at that bridge. She's like, you're not getting me on that bridge.
But that's part of the adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. And that's how I actually first crossed that bridge with Carolyn and Jason Masuoka. And they took me over to, we went to when we went to Cape Disappointment.
Right.
So I got to actually see that. And then it was like North End or North Head Lighthouse over there.
Right, because you were there when we went on that excursion up there, weren't you?
No, I wasn't there actually.
Okay.
I wasn't up there, but I saw pictures and stuff like when you guys all stayed there and stuff at that.
Carolyn and Jason were there.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
And they took me to go look at it. Yeah, it was really, really cool. I love the lighthouse. Cape Disappointment, though, there's something about that place that I find very intriguing. It's just a beautiful lighthouse in itself, but the stories, of course, are really, scary because obviously there's been a lot of shipwrecks there. So
Yes.
I'm sure just standing there, you can probably pick up on a lot of stuff.
You can watch what's going on.
Yeah.
And including things sailing by safely. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah.
Then the houses are haunted. I can't remember if we had any action in the one I stayed in or not. It's been a while. I have to always check notes.
Yeah, I can't remember if I heard anything either. I feel like there might have been something, but not like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Because we had people in both houses in the bedrooms, and we had a few people that stayed in the closest town, and then a couple others that stayed a little further away.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people show up.
Neat.
Very good.
It was fun.
Is there a story behind Cape Disappointment? I mean, it's a kind of a fun name, I guess, or a little. You're going, what were they disappointed in?
I am guessing that it's Cape Disappointment because of all the shipwrecks. I'm actually looking it up right now. I like to quickly Google so we can see things.
Oh,
Why is it
sure.
called? It says here, though the Cape was first mapped by Spanish explorer Bruno de Hezida in 1775, its naming is credited to English captain John Mears, who approached the Cape in 1788 but could not locate the river's entrance. Mears therefore named the headland Cape Disappointment. He was disappointed he couldn't find the entrance.
Well, and that tells you about the bar and how rough it is all the time, and the sand, because this is a major, I mean, the Columbia is huge and major shipping. This is not a small mouth. This is a huge area, and he couldn't see it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really, it really is interesting, all the history there.
And then you get the Civil War forts because they were afraid of the South bringing ships up, and that's where Fort Canby and Fort Stevens originated.
Fort Stevens, that place, that to me, there was a lot of energy. I have to admit, I drove there, and this was years back, and I was like, okay, so I went to like where, like you had like the old, just like where they were. I mean, like, I guess there's barracks. I don't know. I didn't see like that was like really like where like artillery and like where they would be just watching for things.
There's Battery Russell, which is one of the later ones, and that's the one that was shelled by the Japanese. But then over a little ways further is the rest of the fort, because the fort's a big complex. So the oldest part and where the barracks and such were are over at the mouth more.
Battery, that's what it was. So when I went to the Battery, that was where I have to admit I was like, ooh, by the energy, because you could actually walk through there. And of course it was a little bit dark, but it wasn't that. I just kind of had my flashlight that I was like basically just like feeling pretty sensitive to energy. And so when I was walking through there, I was like, ooh, I could just feel like strong energy in there. And I was like, oh, wow. Like I thought to myself, that would be a pretty interesting place. I don't know if anyone's done an investigation there with like, paranormal team, but that would be pretty interesting.
You'd have to be very careful at night. I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't have to, people think you have to investigate at night. You don't.
Right.
The ghosts are out during the day.
Right.
And I've seen things there. Devin and I both have. It's haunted, and you sense, I've seen with these eyes, not just this one, and it's a fascinating place. And
it is.
It goes back before it was built to, some of the energy and what you feel there, and then
what was there before
the shipwreck? Did you go after
the shipwreck? Oh yeah, the Peter Iron. Oh yeah, that's a whole cool thing too. It's been interesting because over the years when I go there, I can see where like the ship is also still almost corroding, you know, still, and it's getting a little bit smaller. I feel like every year, just a teeny bit, you know, it's not much, but I'm seeing that and I'm like, stay, you're amazing.
And it depends too. There are years when you can't see it except for a little tiny piece at the bow because of the sand. And other years, everything's exposed and everything in between. It's really great. And I have gotten freaked out there. Oh my, being alone there at night, been more than once I took off a little bit faster than that 25-mile-an-hour speed limit.
You're like,
not anymore, not since I got better at just opening and reading and saying, okay, no, this isn't a living person coming to kill me. The dead person who already killed people. You know, that kind of a thing. But it can be pretty frightening up there. And you have to be careful.
I agree.
The waves. People climb on the thing and that makes me feel kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's like rusty and metal. It's like,
not only is it sharp,
yeah.
how stable is it? How sturdy is that rusted? That was 1906, I think, when it ran aground.
Wow.
So it's been there a while. I think it was 1906. I wrote, that's in that one book too. But I'm gonna have to look things up to remember.
I remember seeing a picture of when it first crashed, like forever ago. And yeah, I bought a picture. It was like I bought it actually at the Tillamook Cheese Factory. They had like a little gift shop, and they had photos there. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at this! This is like from forever ago, and how amazing to see it like as a full ship, pretty much at that point. It was crazy.
Well, you know, it's funny because the ship the year before, within 2 weeks of the exact same day, the year before, that same ship with the same captain ran aground about a mile south of there.
Oh, wow.
And they were able to save it and get it and finish. They were able to unbeach it. Wow. And then to have it happen this way, nobody died on the shipwreck. They were able to get help, and they're also, you know, closer in. It was pretty stormy. And it was a British ship, and the British tribunal said there was no human error. It was just the way the winds happened, and there wasn't anything any captain or any crew could have done to save it. So nobody was punished or court-martialed. Nobody died. And I'm sure looters made off with a lot of cargo.
I'm sure. That is good, though. I did not know that people were all okay and all that happened. I didn't realize that. So that's good news. I figured that a little bit when I saw the picture from way back then, because it still looked like a whole ship. And I was like, well, it's not like a huge shipwreck that was broken into a million pieces now.
Or a little further off the shore where it would, if it would have hit the rocks a little further off, that would have been a different story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting place.
It's fascinating history.
Sounds
on the coast.
like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there a lot of little towns along the coast there as well that are still there and you know, conducting business? I don't know about thriving or not, but I'm sure they are. Little sea towns and
quite a few of them. Most of them aren't doing nearly as well as they used to.
Sure.
Because they were founded on fishing and logging, and now it's tourism. And right now they're all struggling because of with the virus. There's not much tourism. But yeah, there are lots of all the way up and down the coast.
Yeah, Garibaldi, that stands out to me because that's one where it's a port, and like you have tons of fishermen still. Like they all have the fishing boats that come in, but they also have the lumber mill, and so there's like the logging. So like that, when you mentioned both of those, I thought, oh, in that town, that's another small town that totally represents both of those industries.
Yeah,
it's a cool town.
I was a kid driving. You know, you drive over the mountains going there, and you'd always get behind log trucks. Tons of log trucks. Some of them one log on the whole truck. And now there aren't any. I mean, what timber there is closer to mills and such. They've done so much of the logging, and there isn't any old growth left, and it's still pretty through there.
Yeah, it really is. Oh my gosh. I can just start at the top, and then just drive all the way down as far as I can go. And I love it. I mean, that's actually, half the reason I moved out here was actually the coast.
Okay.
Neat.
One half was my fiance, so I give her that for sure. But it was the day she took me to the coast. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I came out to visit. And she was like, "Can you stay one more day?" I was like, "Okay, I'll try." It's Southwest Airlines that you can kind of extend tickets. They're nice about that. So I was able to stay one more day, just paid a little bit more. She's like, "I've got somewhere I gotta take you." And so she actually took me to Pacific City, Cape Kiwanda, and we walked up where you're not supposed to walk up, but it's like where everybody walks up anyway. And
you're lucky
at that
you're
time,
alive.
yeah, it was the sand part.
It crumbled.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. Oh, it did. Yeah, later on, like where we went, it was still okay. Like we didn't go on the rock part, like where people go, and that crumbled, and we followed the sand, so it was like still the safe part. Like where we actually went that day, and where we continued to go, it's further back where the sand is. Oh yeah, we stayed further back where it's safe. It's actually where I proposed to her too. So, but you're right. If you go out on the rock, I mean, there's a place where one time. I did go out on that rock with my dad because he's Mr. Daring, and he's like, "I gotta get this picture," and I'm like, "Okay." There were quite a few people there, and I was like, "Okay." I'm afraid of heights, and so I was like edging my way, towards him. Got some great photos, but that was from 6 years ago, and that whole spot is gone. It's
oh my
gone
gosh.
now. It's like excavated. I mean, it completely just fell out. I was like, "Oh my God, I stood there before."
And you don't know how deep when you're close, even if you're a ways back from the edge, you don't know how far back it's been hollowed out.
That's
and
true.
how big of a slice is going to fall when it falls.
Oh yeah.
And it's gorgeous, but you have to be.
But treacherous.
Oh yeah, you've got to be smart. You really do, and that's true. There's been a lot of people that have died there, especially teenagers. They go up there and get near the edge too close and fallen in and have died. I mean, it's terrifying. Darn. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But but the place itself is beautiful, and but when I saw that area and saw the rocks and saw the coast, there was just that feeling I got. There's the energy of the whole place, and I was like, "This is where I'm supposed to live. I need to move out here," and I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the coast is very special to me. Yeah. Very special to me. Yeah. And so that's why the video game also, like, I wanted to set it in a town that meant a lot. And so when I was like, I knew like that even before I knew the Flavel House and everything, really, I knew I wanted a video game set at the coast. So that's how it all began.
Great. Well,
how did you finally?
I'm.
Please go ahead. I think we were going to ask the same thing.
I think so. How did you find out about that particular house?
Research. I love doing research, and so I knew all about the main house. That's just like that gorgeous Victorian, beautiful home that you pass by. That's amazing, and so I knew about that one, and so I was like kind of digging deeper, and all of a sudden I read about Hatchet Harry Flavel, and I was like, ooh, let's do some more deeper digging here. And then I saw the home and everything with it and what it looked like, especially in its worst moments of being pretty abandoned and overgrown and everything like you talked about, William. And I was like, this is perfect. It's like cha-ching, perfect. I found this is the place. This is it.
Woohoo!
And people used to break into it and stuff occasionally to go exploring and whatever.
Oh, I bet.
And so David winding up not knowing how he got there and where he was in the basement. I mean, it kind of fits even with that in a sense.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. I had to go by some photos, and I've never been in the house, and that was part of it. Was like, okay, well, I have the outside of the house, and so I had to kind of create my own design for the inside, since and plus it's like I didn't want to like mimic it completely, and so it was interesting because you're like, oh, there's not a library, and I was like, Yeah, in mine there's a library, which is it's interesting because you're like, I'm surprised there wasn't a library. I mean, I am too actually, because when you have those older homes, sometimes they would have like kind of like that library, area and stuff. And so this one does.
It's very grand, but it's not as big as one thinks. The music room is just kind of a tiny little area, really off the main entry, and then you've got a big salon, living room, parlor, whatever you want to call, and dining room. The kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen didn't even look big when I looked at pictures. You're right. I thought that was interesting. Like the pictures of the rooms inside, they don't look like ginormous or anything crazy.
Yeah. And then it's got the bedrooms upstairs and the attic. I can't remember bathrooms. It's got a couple.
That's what I would have been interested if you had been able to go upstairs to the bedrooms and even the attic. Oh, you did get to go up there?
Uh-huh. The only place we couldn't go was the basement.
Okay, so that's what it was. Oh, okay. Do you remember like what part of the house you felt maybe the most things or saw the most things or whatever? I'm just curious.
I don't remember. I think there's quite a bit up in the attic. I don't remember. I need to go through and find pictures and video. I take video notes because if I stop to write, I lose what I'm picking up, and it's a mess and can't read my own handwriting anyway. So the video notes work a lot more easily. And it's been 3 years maybe, I don't remember. So
yeah,
it all becomes a blur.
Yeah. The attic was where they definitely ordered quite a bit. Ooh, you got the house behind you now. Nice, Wendy. Cool.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I had it.
That's awesome.
You see that balcony there on the top? That's where Hatchet Harry was freezing his mother and sister.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But what about the attic you were saying?
I was saying that when I saw pictures, that was one of the places where it seemed like just like super Hoarderville and all the things they had up there. So, yeah.
And most of that had been pretty well cleaned out by the time they let people in.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, it would have been neat to go in actually in a way if it was safe, if they like had it to where they could walk around safely, but to actually see it before it was cleaned up, that would have been pretty interesting because the photos of that, oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like, ooh.
Well, in the chimney you see, there is one that I've seen trees sprouting out of the top of.
Oh my gosh.
Back
looks
in
like
the
they
day.
replaced the chimney almost in this picture.
Yeah, it looks like new brick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. But the window over there, it's got a rounded kind of window off of the...
Oh, up top. Yeah.
No, not to this side. The other side.
Oh, the other side? Okay.
Yeah, you can't see it from there, but you see it from the back. And
okay.
It's still boarded up, or at least it was last time I drove by it. The glass is intact. That window hadn't been boarded up for a long time.
Oh,
and,
okay.
But the living room area is to the right. Thing is about the house is it isn't real deep. It doesn't go back a long ways. I don't remember it having.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's on the corner. Yeah, it's on the corner of the street, but I know what you're saying. Like it's not like it does go back just like super far. I took that picture actually of what's behind you right now. So that was I took that about a year ago, I would say. So that's where it was at that point. But yeah, like you said, all the windows were boarded up before that, like you were talking about like years ago. And so when you see pictures of that, you're like, oh wow, you can tell it was pretty crazy. But right now, like definitely, since that was a year ago, I bet you that was a new chimney then, because it does look new. And I know that they were doing the reconstruction and stuff, and then it just kind of stopped. I didn't know why, but then you kind of explained that. But yeah, very interesting. I mean, to me, I always wonder like if they ever finish the whole reconstruction or remodeling of that home, like then someone then buys it again and lives in there. It's like that'd be interesting.
Well,
I wonder.
The plan for the owner is to live in it. and hopefully he can finish it.
Yeah.
I think they have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
Owning a lumber yard, you get a lot of discounts on what you need.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Indeed.
It's very true.
Now, has it been declared a historical site? Do they have to keep it up to certain standards?
I don't know.
Okay.
Now the house
Yeah.
behind you has been, I believe,
Yeah.
but the other one I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so
the
the one-
museum.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the Captain Flavel's house, the really beautiful one.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that was yeah. It's beautiful.
And that one they need to. It's when you go checking around back, there's some pretty big cracks in the foundation and a few things too. Like it's going to need some more work pretty soon. Places are a lot to maintain, and especially in the coastal climate. Oregon coastal climate. We don't have the hot climate or even the warm, dry climate. We have the soggy, colder climate. And
windy.
You go down the coast to the southern end, and it's actually quite dry, and it's warmer and all the rest of it. But I like it a little better up north.
Yeah, I do too. But yeah, it's very true because you can see how the homes get weathered in Astoria. Like when you're driving the ones that I'm sure it's expensive to keep repainting your house and stuff, and so you can definitely see like where that weather has just made the outside of homes just like like need more help. They might have painted it the year before, So there's that, yeah, for sure. But yeah, there's an interesting almost just like energy with the whole city itself, and
there is.
Yeah, there just really is, and it's a great place to visit. I mean, there's wonderful restaurants there and shops. It's really thriving. I've been there once, I think, since the pandemic. I drove through it. I didn't actually get out. Of course, at that point, it looked like not much was really happening.
Oh, oops.
But which not surprising there, but yeah, it was. It's such a nice place. I mean, before all that
I haven't been up there since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then I think I was up there probably in January or so, but I can't remember for sure.
Yeah.
But there have been, when we were kids, so much of the town was empty because the tourism hadn't started yet. And we'd pick Grandma up, we would take her out for Mother's Day or something. We'd wind up bringing her all the way into Portland to find a decent restaurant for Mother's Day. Because even Seaside had the crab broiler and such, but it wasn't that, it was kind of famous, but it wasn't that great.
Okay.
And so we'd wind up in Portland and take her back again.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know why, but I'm thinking like how it was in the movie Goonies. Goonies,
which was filmed in Astoria.
Yep.
I thought it was.
Yep.
But yeah, it looked very empty, like it just wasn't thriving anymore.
Yeah, at the time that movie was shot, I think that's probably pretty accurate.
Yep. Yeah, like there's that one part where you can see like Haystack Rock behind them. And it's like, I want to say that must have been filmed at like Ecola State Park when they're up high like that, because it's like that view pretty much. And then they're driving across. Yeah, I think so too. And then the car's driving, and they're driving like right Haystack Rock on Cannon Beach. But yeah, everything else was Astoria.
And I think that's kind of where the pirate ship was supposed to have been, wasn't it? Right there, kind of Ecola Park area in that big, where it's up higher. Because that's based on a true story.
Are you serious?
I mean, there was a pirate ship, and it's not been found, but there are the legends, I believe it's actually the truth of the pirate ship. And well, Sir Francis Drake was on the coast. We'd get
Neat.
Spanish galleons blown off course a lot of times and come up. Some of them would wreck. There's still, I think it's in Manzanita, there's still, probably not as much anymore, but they were digging up honeycomb or honey in blocks for a couple hundred years. The natives were using it for currency because the Catholic Church required beeswax or beeswax candles, and we didn't have honeybees native, and they were in California, all the missions, and the beeswax was shipped in from China, and they'd get blown off course. It was a very expensive commodity in those days.
Interesting.
All to keep the liturgy correct in the churches.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
And
really cool.
So it's possible the Neoconi treasure might be more along the lines of beeswax than gold.
Maybe.
I would love to find a treasure chest full of emeralds and rubies and diamonds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing. Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing that was kind of a fun little Goonies fact, though, is that the cast of the kids, they weren't allowed to see the pirate ship that was built. And so the scene where they actually shot that, like the expressions on their faces, like, oh, wow. Like that was like their real reactions when they saw it for the first time. So it was kind of cool.
Very clever.
Movie fact. Yeah, it was very clever. They got the realistic, like, whoa. They had no idea it was going to be that magnificent, you know? Pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really neat.
How fun.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing town. So, but yeah, I don't know if there's people got any questions or anything.
I haven't seen any.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Brenda, you still with me? Got questions? We help Brenda out. Brenda and I met by working in a dog and cat clinic.
Okay.
And yeah, you know, she'd help me with one thing and I'd help her with computer work, and it's still a little bit that way to this day, but she has an extremely colorful family line in Excelsior Springs and Liberty, Missouri. And so she knows where all the good cemeteries are that not everybody knows about, and a lot of other things. She's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Very cool.
Excellent. Just bring your snake boots.
Yep, she wants to visit now. I do too, so maybe one day.
Yep.
I got a question for both of you.
Yes.
Just random. So, out of everywhere in the entire world, what's one place that you would love to investigate?
One place
that you would like to investigate that you haven't before, out of anywhere in the entire world? It's a big question.
I'm letting Wendy go first.
Okay. I visited the Mayan ruins at Tulum in the Yucatan Peninsula. And it was such a profound feeling of peace and power. I would love to be able to investigate it. I think that would be the cat's meow.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah. Oh, it was just mind-blowing.
Wow.
That was hot, but that's okay because you get back out on the coast a little bit, and then the breeze coming in almost all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
that would be one.
For me, I think, and my major way of investigating is with the psychic piece, but even with the rest of it to help give some substance, pretty much any of the Mesopotamian cultures, Sumatra, any of those places. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. I'm hoping I'm going to try to get there in the next spring when I'm in Turkey. And those are places I haven't been yet that, well, the Mesopotamian area, they're all war zones, so I can't go.
Right.
But,
right.
Some of it enters into Turkey, so I'll try that. Because I haven't had equipment to do EVPs or anything else, but just with photography and the research psychically, the tombs in Egypt and temples and pyramids and it's all fantastic. It really is. I love it.
What was your favorite place over there that you have been to? I'm talking like Middle East or Egypt,
right.
or
Right. The favorite, I think, in the Middle East. Well, Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, because I've always wanted to go there. But I think one that really struck me even more in a different way, King Tut's tomb. And that's, that's so much that must do and all the rest of it. Well, he showed me himself, because in his tomb, his sarcophagus was still there. And they've moved it just this year, I believe, to the new Egyptian museum that's built. But he showed me himself sitting up, his soul sitting up out of his mummy, out of his body. He did that 3 times for me.
Wow.
To see it. And so that
that's
was really
fantastic.
Special.
That's amazing.
That was really special.
Incredible.
Wow.
And Queen Nefertiti or Nefertari, can't remember, being very, because I saw her mummy in the Egyptian Museum, and being very glad that her role has been discovered and found, and what a really great pharaoh she was.
Nice.
Because so much of that was knocked off, and they, the next pharaoh kind of tried to erase a lot of that. So
I hate when they do that.
I know, but those are pretty cool.
What about you, Tristan?
Whew. I would say for me, because I've never investigated one, and I feel like I would be probably the most terrified. I would have to really prepare myself for it. Would be some of the sanitariums, insane asylums. I've never been to one, and there's some obviously even just here, but I would probably want to go to one that was pretty well, haunted, and I think that would be very interesting but I definitely think I'd have to be like really psychically protected, because there's so many, like with the mental illness and stuff and spirits and stuff like that, and even just like making sure I didn't have attachments and stuff walking out of there. But yeah, I feel like if I just was like okay going in and stuff like that and prepared for it, and I think it would be a really interesting experience. So especially with a lot of them, I mean, just like with even people that were just in there for sickness and stuff, there's people put in insane asylums for a lot of reasons they shouldn't have been put in an insane asylum. I mean, there's actually a list I saw recently of just things that would put women into an insane asylum, and it's like pretty much them breathing.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Just being born. Yep. Insane asylum.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So it'd be interesting to maybe try to communicate with spirits, and but yeah, maybe ones that actually had sickness too, outside of just mental illness, and places where children even were and stuff. I think that'd be very interesting. I have a heart for kids, and so I think that would be very interesting. So I don't know, anybody want to let me join along for one of those? That would be something I would love to do, and I'd love to like film. I'd like to be able to like film inside there and try to do some EVPs and stuff. because I definitely have heard, EVPs before. And that's incredible. To me, it's incredible when you can. There was one time where we could like immediately hear it on playback. I mean, it was just so clear. I was just like, oh my gosh, we're just asking questions. And it was just like, I mean, and that was actually at Manresa Castle.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah. And it was just like, yeah, you were there, William, but there was like a third part. Where were we? It was actually in, it was the bedroom Amy and I were in. And it was actually the, it was like the honeymoon suite one or something like that. They called it like the honeymoon suite room or whatever. And I don't even think it really had much activity, but there was a man in there and he was answering our questions. And it was like a group of us and we were just like blown away.
Fantastic.
That was cool.
Neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great when you can hear them. I've heard some wonderful EVPs. A lot of them I have trouble hearing or making out.
Right.
And so I don't. I do it for other people, and I run audio, but mostly for me, from my notes, and you never know, something can happen. But usually the ghosts tell me, or the entities, you can see us and hear us. Why should we go to put so much work?
Right.
I say, yeah, but I can't prove it if you don't go to that. So I don't even check photos anymore to see if anything appears. If something does, great, but I don't take them for that reason anymore. Other people get lots of stuff.
Yeah, actually, Jill Straub, she's actually caught quite a few things on photos. I was like, wow, you're just like a paranormal photographer, really. I mean, I think I've caught maybe something once, and it's one of those where it could just be me thinking like, wow, nothing really fact-based. So I don't really pick up on that either. So
you have to really be careful what may or may not.
Oh yeah, you
real
do.
Or something else.
The thing that I actually had luck with was flashlights, and so I had where it was the iridescent flashlight, so not the LED, just like the old school like turn. And I'd like smack it. And I was taught to like hit the flashlight so it doesn't turn on, and you can set them. So I have 3 like kind of mini flashlights, and this was actually inside of my old film studio in Portland, in St. John's neighborhood. And
well, that's a pretty haunted, scary area too.
Oh, that building was haunted. I mean, there was deaths in there from where it was like the old, mill and all that. It is like crazy, actually. The stories within that place was pretty interesting. And so that was the first time, and I have it on video, actually. I've never posted it anywhere, but I videotaped it. And that was the first time we're like, asking questions and it was like probably an hour. So it's not like, spirits are just like, hey, I'm right here, It was like an hour later, and all of a sudden we're kind of like, about to give up. And then all of a sudden it's like the flashlight goes on, and I'm just like, there's a spirit here with us. Oh my gosh, like we're connected, And it was amazing. He was able to answer like the yes and no questions and stuff, and get that. And we actually went through the alphabet, and we're able to get like the first letter of their name, and we're like just turn on which one that was, and we were going through it, and then finally it was one, and then we even confirmed that letter. And they were like, yes. And it was just like, this is phenomenal. I mean, that to me was, I have to say, the one thing that I've actually gotten to do that worked for me. I've gotten this, have other people do the EVPs and photos and everything else. And, but that was really cool. Really
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah. Really neat. I did do it at home here once, and then I actually did connect. And then Amy's like, how about we don't do that in the house? I'm like, fair.
It depends on how much you want activity, because if you're asking them to do things, they might.
Right.
And then it's hard to tell them, no, okay, we're done now. Don't do it anymore.
Yeah. They're like, we're not your toy.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, you have to have respect for me. I'm not here just to like play little games with you.
That's right.
And that's a big part of it too, is like being respectful.
Well, do you live in an older house?
No, it's the land. I know that this land, I don't know exactly the history completely of it, but I've heard that there is a little bit of activity like on where the homes were built, even though I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was like an Indian burial ground or anything crazy like that, like where you're just expecting like, oh yes, there's going to be activity for sure. But yeah, we had just a little bit, and we always feel like there's this one spirit that's just with us, and then Amy thinks it's my grandfather, but I don't know. I mean, we at our house prior to this, it was older. It was actually built in like the early 70s, and there was a lot of activity there. Like we were even told there was like a portal, there.
Wow.
So there was a lot of activity, and so but here the only thing that we've really experienced the most is doors locking that we don't lock.
Oh, that's
one of the main things.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that, and that's what happened at the other house too. So there is some spirit. I don't know. I've never been able to connect or anything like, and nobody has. I would love that, but I mean that would be pretty interesting just to see like who is the spirit, because I feel like they're trying to be recognized by locking doors and even following us from home to home. So it must be someone connected to us, I'm assuming. And so it's kind of crazy because Amy once was like, "You locked me out of the room." I was like, "No, I didn't." And that happens a lot. But the crazy thing is this is very interesting. The spirit seems to lock us apart.
Okay.
Yep, they don't usually lock us in rooms together or lock us out of a room together. It's usually like Amy's in the room and the door locks. So I'm in the room and the door locks. It's like, that part would kind of been like, I don't know. I was like, maybe someone got a crush on you. I don't know.
You're right. Yeah.
Get me out of here. I don't know. I mean, it could be, right? You just never
a jokester.
Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like, a jokester for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
For sure.
Oh, here, I'll get him this time.
Yep. And then footsteps. We have heard the footsteps a lot of times, like upstairs, and like there's no one there at all. And now we actually have a foster daughter, so it's like she's probably up. We can't say it's anything else. It's probably her getting up to the bathroom or whatever. But yeah, the footsteps were pretty prominent before too. But at the other house, it was just it's like I was able to see things there. I don't really see things here, but I could see things in the other house, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's pretty active. And we even tried like kind of, I can't tell you how many times I smudged the place, But
you have to be careful with things like that, because one, it's their place.
Yeah.
But two, usually what you do is you make them mad. You don't, and if they do go away, they come back with friends. Unless you do things really correctly. And I've been in places where I've seen all kinds of different cleansings, clearings, whatever.
Right.
I haven't seen any of them work.
Yeah.
Long term. And now people will say and such, but I also watch the entities laughing.
Yeah.
Or
I'm sure.
Or other people will say, well, it was quiet for a little while, then they came back. Or whatever. Now, cleaning energy, that's a different thing.
Totally. Yeah. That's what I believe smudging really is. You're just cleansing that energy.
Yeah. But yeah, if you had somebody trying to get rid of you out of your house, you wouldn't be happy.
Right. No, definitely. It's very true.
It's usually best to learn how to live together.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the one here, like I said, I don't know. I feel like it's just maybe one. I don't know. When I used the flashlight that time, it was actually a female, but I felt like she was kind of one just passing through. Didn't seem like she was actually like here. I think I drew her by, kind of like opening that doorway, just like, hello, who's around me? Anybody want to say hi? It was kind of like, I'm having a little bit of a party here. Do you want to come over and have a snack? and so, and for me, but yeah, it is interesting because I've had, different people do like different clearing systems, and sometimes it works, but a lot of times I do feel like you end up having activity again. It's like it lasts for a certain period. And of course, like for me, like I always know, like do it very respectfully. It's just kind of like, and a lot of times what I have said is more like, I'm going to respect you if you can just, I'm going to respect you if you can respect me too. Like we need to have a mutual respect going on here. So like, don't come at me and try to scare me or my animals or, Amy or, and stuff like that. And, I don't mind little tricks, if you're wanting to lock a door, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't scare me. It's like, if you're wanting to be funny, you think that's hilarious. I'll laugh with you. I mean, I think there's been a time where I'm like, oh, well, hello. you know, but that's been mainly it. It's just kind of like having that like mutual respect and stuff. And I agree with you. I mean, unless you have like an entity there that is, you know, like, which I've never experienced, where people are getting scratched, or, you know, things are just really, they're being physically having ailments and stuff like that. That's when I feel like, you know, I would personally be like, oh, okay, I need some help here. Like, what can we do?
Part of that, I think a lot of times entities get blamed for humans, but also you can still work with them. This is when a good psychic can come in handy, to see if you can find out who this person is, what it is, and why are they doing what they're doing. Because a lot of times it can be misunderstood. I mean, so many people say, oh, I got scratched and it's 3 lines. It's got to be the devil. Well, maybe a dog jumped up on you and its paws scratched you. Or, you know, when you scratch yourself, you usually use 3 fingers. I do anyway. And they tried to push me down the stairs. Well, maybe it was a kid giving you a hug. I mean,
right.
No, that's actually an interesting thought theory. Yeah.
And even if it is an entity trying to, it doesn't mean it's demonic.
Right.
Right. Homicidal, but it's not the
right.
Yeah.
Well, there's that. I mean,
yeah, little details. But in my experience, boundaries can be drawn and people can live in peace and respect them. If you've got something that's pretty negative that's creating that a lot of draw on energy and such too, I tend to find that those are usually either created by the people living there or fed by them by their own actions. And so putting bright flowers in the house, letting the sunlight in, no paranormal shows, no arguing, take it outside. Good music that's happy. Change the environment, and either the entities will change or they'll go away or they'll dissolve.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that the clutter can actually draw entities too. Like if you have like a garage that's just completely full of a whole bunch of stuff, like they might be drawn to that possibly, just because, I don't know. So
it's like a negative energy of
right. Yeah.
I don't know, but with ADHD and a house, I need a library the size of my house. My house isn't tiny, but I need a library this big. Plus then a huge study workroom with lots of filing cabinets. And so things get cluttered around here.
Yeah.
And
it happens for sure. That's one thing that was my job for a while, was to get the garage cleared out. And I did it. It took time. Time, but I finally got it done.
I get the car in, but there's boxes lining both sides.
Right, that's.
I mean, I've got my stuff and my parents' stuff.
And
then. Because this was their house. It's not the one I grew up in. They had it built in the 90s, but they had activity in it, and so, you know, it's not just me and it's not just them. There were things happening here before. And this whole housing development was a field when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what it all comes from, but it's here. And they're welcome. You know?
I did the garage thing too, by the way. Amy said she needed to park a car in there. That's exactly what she got. There are things on the sides, but shelves, you know, that's pretty good. But yeah.
Organization.
But yeah, she said, I want to be able to park my car in there. That was like a gift, you know. And so he wouldn't like order me around. So it's kind of like, for my birthday, for 4 years in a row, can I park my car in the garage?
Not trying to nag, but
exactly.
Well done, Amy.
Well, I hired help. I mean, I have a guy that does my yard for me when he can get over here. And one day we took care of the garage and moving things. That was several. Mom and Dad had always had it, so Mom's car was always in the garage. And it's supposedly a 2-car garage, but I'm not sure how you'd fit 2 cars in it even without anything else.
Same here. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I got that too, and I'm like, huh? No.
yeah, two little smart cars maybe.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But afterwards, I had, so much stuff and everything, and so Scott helped me. The housekeeper helped me organize and pack and do a bunch of stuff, and then he'll figure out how to get my car in the garage and
away you go.
Yep.
Definitely.
Well, now in the clearing of homes and things, I know it's very important to bring in good energy and good vibes and everything as you get rid of whatever's negative or you think is bothering you or is negative. So maybe that in conjunction with a good cleansing, it all helps. It all helps everything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me, like when I use the sage, I always follow with Palo Santo, and then also I use sound healing with Team Shaz, and I'm a Reiki master, so then I also will do Reiki in the house as well, just to fill it with that positive kind of energy afterwards, just for that energy cleansing, because especially now with COVID, everyone's together all the time, and it's just there's stress, I think, sometimes that will pop up just normally, just internally, even if you're not projecting it out at one another, is that internal kind of what's gonna happen. I'm fine for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden one day I'm just oh, I have so much anxiety today, but that energy keeps filling. And so there's a time when I know people that they'll cleanse their homes every single week, but for me, I don't remember to do that all the time. And so there was a point where I was ooh, it's been 2.5, 3 months, and it needs to be done. So I was really got my feather out. I'm pushing that. and this is the weird part. So I don't even know if this is related. I don't know, but I did that, and then the very next day, both of my cars won't start.
Oh,
I'm not even kidding.
Oh heck, yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Completely fine the day before, and I couldn't even charge the battery of my one car. It didn't even have a problem with the battery the day before. I was like, what is wrong? It just it can't even turn it on. It's just both of them. I've got a truck and I've got an SUV, and neither of them worked. And I was like, and then Amy goes, well, the only thing I could think that you did recently was you did the whole real big energy clearing. I was like, well, did it all go to my cars?
Well, they got their revenge.
Yep.
They're like, you ain't going anywhere, sucker. Oh man, I'm telling you.
Well, it sounds like, what was that, Poltergeist 2, where the big Indian, I don't know, medicine man shaman, your car's not happy with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. For sure. Oh my gosh.
Well, we're starting to, believe it or not, we've been on almost 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yes.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what everything's about.
That's right.
But so how would people get a hold of you guys if you
Yeah, William, you go first.
My website is paranormalinsights.net. It needs a little work. My my Facebook and Twitter and email are all on that site. Facebook Para Insights is the page. I also have a personal page, but I warn you, if you get that one, I share a lot, and a lot of it's political. So if you don't want that, just sign up for the the Para Insights page. And you know how those business pages are. They don't send everybody everything all the time, so you'd have to check. And then Twitter and Instagram, those three, it's paranormal stuff, things that I'm doing. You can instant message me on Messenger. There is a phone number, which I don't remember to check very often. It's on my webpage.
Okay.
Just because people don't usually call, so I get out of the habit of checking that one. So
You might have someone check your website, because I've tried to go there a couple times in the last couple days to make sure it was right and everything, and it kept giving me error readings, and I didn't know what that was about.
Really, in the last couple days?
Yeah. Yes.
Paranormalinsights.net.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Something had been hacked and it was supposedly cleaned, and I've had trouble going in there. I'm gonna have to call them.
Okay.
Doggone it. Oh, I hate it.
But I dropped the link for that and for the Facebook Para Insights as well in chat.
And
So.
I'll check. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I meant to say something earlier, a couple days ago, and I forgot. I apologize.
Oh no, that's okay. I've been talking to them, trying to get things to work on some other stuff. Let me just see if. Oh, I know. I'll check it later. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just get concerned about that kind of thing.
Oh, sure.
No.
No, I know when I go and look at my website, our website, I am just staggered by the amount of people trying to get in. And knock on wood, they haven't made it so far, but hundreds and hundreds of times, and you're going, really?
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know much about any of that stuff. I just had a warning. The carrier said they fixed it. But it sounds like maybe it's not so fixed. I had trouble getting into it myself, but they took me through a different way and it worked.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to be able to edit it.
Right.
Because I've got stuff up there that happened a year ago and things that I'm doing now aren't up in, so it needs updating. But
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so as far as contacting me for the video game aspect, like I said earlier, it's at Shaka Brah Games, so ShakaBrahGames, and that is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Personally, if you want to follow me, some cool places to follow me would actually be I have a website and a Facebook page, and it's called Find Higher Purpose. And that is, yeah, it's a lot of inspiration. Like I've done some meditations on there, and there's even if you actually go to the website, it's kind of neat. There's actually where you can do angel card reading, a free, I have it kind of set up for that. You can click, it's kind of like a fun thing actually. And but it's more like an inspirational type website. And I'm also part of the Vision Collective. And then I am actually on a podcast, but we've taken a hiatus through COVID. It's called The Mysterious Multiverse, and that's with Amy and then Jason and Carolyn Masioka. Yeah, so
neat.
We have a podcast too where we've done a whole lot of stuff. So you actually look it up, Mysterious Multiverse. There's a some topics we've done that are pretty interesting actually. So yeah.
Well, feel free to drop links in the chat or in the event page.
Sure.
And I'll make sure they get placed with appropriately.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having us on the show.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys.
It's been great.
It really, really has.
Yes.
You're both always just a real pleasure to talk to.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everybody who's listening.
Yes, thank you all.
Yes.
I haven't even peeked for a bit. I hate to look until later.
Right, no, totally. I actually
But
did a watch party on my page too, so.
Oh, yay.
I did see where there was some people on the watch party, so that's always kind of fun.
I kind of wanted to make the switch because I saw where a lot of people were going live, and I've noticed just a huge increase in the amount of people that watch it even later, but I don't know if it's more handy or the younger right now people that have to see it right now.
Oh, yes, for sure.
yeah, catering to them as well.
Right.
Definitely. For sure.
All
Yeah,
righty.
technology is pretty amazing. It just
It
keeps
really,
going
really
from here.
is.
Next time, we'll wait till the end of the year, maybe January. We'll have our, virtual reality headsets on.
Oh, yeah.
We'll all be within the Flavel house, just like, and this
Yes.
is where, William can give us the tour. Then, like, this is where,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
love it. I love it.
I tried those on one time. A friend of mine's son had a pair of the virtual reality things, and it had my head spinning so quick, right back off.
You're like, woo, not ready for that.
Well, thank you so much. I'm done.
Back to you.
Precisely.
Totally. Awesome.
All
Well, this has been
righty.
wonderful. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, and good luck with the Haunting of Flavel House.
Yeah.
And
Yes, that's exciting.
Thank you.
and that's not Flavel, it's Flavel.
That's right. Flavel. That sounds even cooler,
It really does. Yeah,
Yeah.
just more woo.
Yeah. Flavel. Yeah. Those French ones. I don't know. It's nice.
All right. Well, everybody, have a great week. Everybody stay safe and healthy. And golly, let's get rid of COVID. I've lost tons of even just pet sitting jobs, pet and house sitting jobs. I was booked all through June and July.
Wow.
And then only just a couple long weekends actually panned out because of, I'm like, oh, darn. But
I'm ready for it to go bye-bye too.
Yeah.
At least a little bit. Get a little different leadership going on and straighten things out again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Preach.
Yeah, that's my Facebook page.
Mine too, sometimes, yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys again. It's been wonderful talking to you, and we'll catch you later.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.